Everyone says I have a problem. As it turns out, this guy, just as bad. Don't. That actually worked out better than...
I didn't realize it had the bottom of the floor. I was thinking it was just the top and the side.
You let me know when you're ready. We're on the trailer, so whatever you want to... Could have been worse. I mean, I guess it is a Land Rover. I mean, I assume most of it will make it back home. But here's the majority of what Ted just needed to have. We'll get to what's happening with the body, or what's left of the body, a little bit later in the video. But when you're in Iowa and find something like this just sitting on eBay, about an hour away from home, you just kind of have to grab it. I mean, it's a fairly clean chassis. Everything's pretty solid, and we got a nice running engine, nice shifting transmission. I mean, once you weld the shifter back on. But no, that thing is pretty frickin' clean. And you can never have too many non-rusty Land Rover things laying around. But as you saw, we also had what was part of a body. We'll get into more on what's happening with that, along with what happened to that a little bit later. I just love stuff like this. And here we are just trying to move a few of the random things, and the freaking trailer just broke. Like it's not attached to anything. So now we just have to figure out how to attach these two things. We got a jack, and we got the trailer jack. We're gonna see what we can do here. Maybe suck this guy. Well, that's kind of doing something.
There you go. Just fucking
just crank her on up. She'll be good as new.
double jointed involved.
Now, what's shocking about this whole deal, so this is a tilt deck trailer, 10,000 pound one at that. And that is literally all that holds the entire tongue on. I mean, it kind of... Oh, we're rolling over the... We got quite the setup going on. Just doing a little mobile welding. Good thing we weren't too far from the shop. We kind of made it a non-tilt and scabbed a couple pieces of plate on there so we can at least move the thing. It is kind of comical though that this trailer's been all across the country hauling Land Rovers and it breaks just tilting it.
At the Lost Cause Ranch.
At the Lost Cause Ranch, where everything goes to die apparently. May as well just back it right up next to the P38. And there it goes. Hopefully it makes it up the road at least. It's almost scary how little H&H actually has holding the tongue of the trailer onto the trailer. Frightening, to be honest. And we always seem to run into some interesting problems, but we also seem to have some impeccable timing. Take, for instance, we took the yellow Eco Challenge Discovery out to Moab. We drove it 1,500 plus miles through the Rockies and everything. And then we get to the hotel and the steering shaft splines strip out in the hotel parking lot. Turny, turny? No turny, turny. We now have Bluetooth steering. We obviously could have lost steering in the Rockies on the highway, or even worse, on the trail. on the side of a mountain, but no, in a parking lot, nice and safe. Then we have the trailer. Ted just calculated out that thing's had 40,000 miles put on it. We've went all over the country with it. And what's it do? Brakes right there as he tilted it up. We were gonna get this thing out of here. I mean, it could have happened anywhere, but it happened there with nothing on it. Under my ownership, the P38 definitely has more miles under the winch line from the LR4 than on the road. But that's not exactly hard to do because I have 0 miles driving it. Look at how freaking clean this place is now. And look how cluttered it is here. There ain't a single thing laying outside anywhere. If there's one thing I'm good at in life, it is creating a little bit of chaos. We got the back of the car wash somewhat full. We got a couple inside too. And one of them is special. We just need to figure out what to do with this. Then we can kind of straighten everything out around here. Man, it sure is nice to have a flat place to move a bunch of Land Rovers around. And speaking of moving Land Rovers around, we even took the old camper out for a spin. That was its first actual drive in a while. And I'm kind of curious if we're going to be able to get it inside. She's tall. So before we load up what is going to be the office with things, we're going to take this opportunity to pressure wash everything because that's going to be much harder when it's full. We are starting to get our little office space filled up with some things. I don't know if I've ever shown this on the channel, but this is one of my little pride and joys besides Chet. This is an old 60s Shaw Walker tanker desk in like an olive green with a nice natural leather top, cool little ends, and a little matching side cabinet. In the 60s, they just made stuff way cooler, way better. And I think that desk setup there is really gonna fit the vibe for what we're gonna call our little lost cause bunker. We're surrounded by concrete blocks all the way around. And once we get this wall cleaned off and the massive amount of water heaters out of there, we're gonna be able to have a lot of fun decorating this place out and making it a cool little workspace. I think it's gonna be something that we can become pretty creative with. And speaking of a little creativity, we have nearly the entire side of that Santana sitting in the back of the wall. And according to this, it is also special. And once these guys are out of the way, I think we may end up with a little extra wall space that we can do something with, if you catch where I'm going. But back to the story on that Santana that we went and picked up, or I guess half of a Santana. That's an interesting one. 3/4 of that Santana's body is now a conference bar. How freaking cool is that? I mean, it is a shame that they took a complete running and driving Land Rover of sorts and cut it apart for that. And as you saw, it was actually pretty clean, but we're not gonna let the excess go to waste. We're gonna make something cool out of it. And I'm super excited to turn this place into something very fun to be at. With that being said, I appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you subscribing, and we will catch you on the next one, where we're probably going to update you on the best Land Rover ever made. That's right, the 2-door Freelander. And one of these days, we're going to rip all this out so we can look like some crackhead scrappers. And in other news, Lost Cause Ranch made the news. Now, Jeff Aronson from Rovers North did a nice little write-up on the Alabama Gar. I mean, I guess I should shout out Scott, too. It wasn't just Jeff. But the Rovers North magazine is always a good read if you like your Land Rovers.